It's the Karel Vejmelka show in the third period. Utah Hockey Club, a bunch of goals, some incredible saves, and they're skating away with a win over the Carolina Hurricanes. Robyn and I are back to talk about it in just a moment. We're kicking it off right now, post-game show style, on the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast.
You are Locked On Utah Hockey Club, your daily podcast on the Utah Hockey Club, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thanks for making this show your first listen every single day when it comes to the Utah Hockey Club. Robyn Leaño, Tom Callahan here with you. I'm a former play-by-play voice. Robyn is a longtime team correspondent, and we love talking about what's going on with this team right now. I love talking about the third period. And Robyn, we're going to get to that. I want to let everybody know the show's brought to you in part by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. And Robyn, Utah Hockey Club, quite frankly, did not get started on time in this game, but they did show up for the third period in a big way, and it won them the hockey game.
You know, it's interesting because it's like the opposite of the kind of Utah Hockey Club team that we would see at the beginning of the year, right? When they started fast and just came out buzzing, and then this was the opposite, right? Where it wasn't the best of starts, but they finished it home. I got to think what was in the third period. 3 goals in like 2 minutes and 45 seconds.
Fastest 3 goals in franchise history. So that's pretty cool to see that happen, that little scoring burst there. They gave up 50 shots tonight, and I could tell in the first period that Carolina was on pace for 50, and they got there. But, boy, I tell you what, there's so many storylines just in the third period. Obviously, Vejmelka is huge. The story of tonight is VeggieTales, right? I mean, Without him, we're probably talking about a different result, but some incredible goaltending, especially Robyn in the third period. Utah Hockey Club was shorthanded for 10 minutes and 26 seconds.
Yes.
That's unreal.
Including what is it? We're talking, it was a 7-minute penalty kill. In addition, towards the end, an additional 2. So it was like 9 minutes straight of penalty kill.
Yeah, and I don't like that Carcone penalty call. I have a huge bone to pick with that.
It was
that later.
Good call. But absolutely. But I mean, I feel like Karel Vejmelka is practically the sole reason they killed off that entire 9 minutes of penalty.
Yeah, a little bit of a scary moment. Sergachev got hit in the back of the head blocking a shot. Did get off the ice under his own power. Looks like he's going to be fine. That's why you wear a helmet these days. Oh, yeah. And, normally I really frown on players who turn around to block a shot because there's no padding on your back at all compared to everything that is facing front on a hockey player, except this one area. Now, the helmet, it caught him just to the back and behind the ear on the back of the head. And that's a scary moment. But fortunately, it caught full helmet, and it was a deflection. It wasn't square on. As he turned his head, the puck deflected off into the corner. So I'd rather have literally dodging a bullet right there.
I'd rather have that though, Tom, than I think I've seen a couple times in the past where it's in the front and the puck goes straight toward the mouth.
Well, that's why you got to do the head tuck. They don't teach how to block shots like they used to. It used to be you would stack yourself up, you tuck your head in, and then you cover the precious parts being your throat and your groin. And that's how you would go out and block a shot. Now, guys will take a knee and turn sideways. Then they get hit in the thigh or they get hit in the hip where there's no padding. And, then they've got a Charlie horse or worse. And I don't understand how they're teaching blocking shots. It used to be throw your shin pads at it because that is the hardest piece of plastic in your entire arsenal. But anyway, I'm glad he's okay. But that was a scary moment. And honestly, as part of that whole penalty kill, as you mentioned, there was some 5-on-3 in there. Boy, oh boy, that was just one of those stretches. Let's rewind a little bit too, because so the game goes to 2-1.
Yep.
And then Krause hits a crossbar right after that. And they celebrated like it was in. The game stops. They review it. Clearly, it hit the crossbar. This was not close.
Yeah.
But that was one of those moments. I put it out there. I'm on Blue Sky now, by the way, as hockey Twitter migrates over to Blue Sky. That's one of those moments in a game where you can either go forward and continue to build the momentum, or you can let it suck all the wind out of you and you just deflate. There's no middle ground in that. You don't kind of hobble onward afterwards. Like you either that makes you more determined or you fall apart. And Utah Hockey Club, that was part of that 3-goal burst in the third period. They kept the momentum going. And I think that is a big moment for this team, that they kept going forward after that disappointment.
They kept the momentum going, and could you just feel the Delta Center get louder and louder every time? Like it was rocking by the end of the game, and they were having a fun time. And that's what I think that's what this team needs more of. They need more of that rocking feeling to kind of get that, to get that energy buzzing, to kind of get everything flowing.
Yeah, because the first 2 periods, they were completely dead and completely flat, except for about 3 minutes in the first and then another couple of minutes in the second. The first 40 minutes of this game, and we will all forget about the first 40 minutes of this game.
Oh, yeah.
Because what happened in the third was crazy. And the third period was the game. But boy, oh boy, I was disappointed. There was no real pushback when there needed to be. There was no energy. They just kept letting the shots come at them. Like it started 2-2, Robyn, and then I looked up again at the scoreboard to look at the shots. It was 7-2. And, and that was when I actually said, well, look, Carolina is going to be on pace for 50 shots tonight, the way it's going. And they did. It's crazy how Utah takes these naps, is what I've started calling them. They take little naps, in a period, and all of a sudden they give up 5-6 shots against, 7 shots against in a burst. Then the next thing you know, they kind of come back like they did at the end of the first. And then they come out, everything's kind of even a little bit in the second, and then they fall asleep again. And now all of a sudden the Hurricanes have 30 shots by the halfway point of the game. It's just, you can't sustainably win games doing that. Tonight, let's face it, tonight was a little bit of luck. They don't ordinarily win that game.
100%. This is even more of an interesting thing I will throw at you. Throughout the course of the game, I didn't get a chance to see it towards the end of the game because I was focused on setting up for this show. But I was watching Natural Stat Trick. I'm not sure, I'm pretty sure you know about this, Tom, where they have that little Corsi meter that kind of shows you where possession is more likely on each team, and who's got the higher Corsi numbers, which is for everyone who doesn't know, by the way, Corsi is all kinds of shots, so block shots, missed shots, and shots on net. And it was close to even, a little bit more in favor of Carolina by the end of the first period. By the end of the second period, it was deep in Carolina, just because it was it took a cliff. It went like this, and it went bam. I was like, holy crap.
Nosedive.
Massive nosedive. And that's how you're right. That kind of gives the explanation of kind of going napping a little bit. I feel like, especially in that second period, when I felt like they weren't getting anything off, and it was frustrating. Obviously glad that they were able to rebound and get that, get the momentum back come third period. But against a lot of teams, Tom, that's just not going to cut it.
Well, and the crazy thing is Carolina's good. Carolina's a very good team, good balanced scoring.
Oh, yeah.
They really do a lot of things the right way. Veggie was the difference there. And I am going to rain on the victory parade just a little bit and say you can't afford to keep playing hockey that way. But Robyn, that's what's so frustrating about this team, is it not? That they show you for 3, 4, 5 minutes at a time, they can be so good. But they don't show you that 60 minutes at a time.
It is frustrating, and I want to see more of that. And I think they have the potential. They really do. It's just, I don't know what it is. We're definitely have to break it down a lot more as we go maybe further into this show, or as further into the season, as we figure things out, as we learn a lot more about this team. And we already know a lot about this team, as as we mentioned, we've been covering the team and know what we're talking about. We've seen this team for the last few years with Arizona previously, but we still got to figure this team out. There's still a lot to figure out with this team. What we're going to do with that, Tom, is we're going to break this down a little bit further. We're going to get some more thoughts of this win over the Carolina Hurricanes, Utah Hockey Club. And we'll get into all that right after this.
All right, and today's show is brought to you in part by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, North America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check the latest stats, you can view the play-by-play, and so much more right there on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make money and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And today's show also brought to you in part by SelectQuote. The World Series, the Super Bowl, the Olympics. The world's top athletes get to play in these top-level sporting events thanks to one thing, and that's teamwork. And teamwork can also protect your financial legacy and your family's future. SelectQuote's licensed insurance agents are the perfect teammates when shopping for customized, affordable life insurance. They can find you the right policy to keep your financial legacy safely in your family's end zone. SelectQuote is one of America's leading insurance brokers with nearly 40 years of experience, helping over 2 million customers find over $700 billion in coverage since 1985. You invest so much time to take care of yourself and to be the healthiest, best version of you. SelectQuote's exclusive policies can reward that effort. Head to SelectQuote.com and a licensed insurance agent will call you right away with the right policy for your life and your budget. SelectQuote. They shop, you save. Get the right life insurance for you for less at SelectQuote.com/LockedOnNHL. That's SelectQuote.com/LockedOnNHL. Go to SelectQuote.com/LockedOnNHL today to get started.
So, Tom, really quick, one thing I want to mention, I find this kind of more of a funny observation than anything. For those that have been following the Locked On Utah Hockey Club Twitter account, I started this season off by doing those GIF intermissions.
Yes.
Right.
So I know where you're going with this.
And they won all those games. Right. I did those GIF intermissions. I fell off doing those towards this middle of the year. Tried doing one game recently. They won that game against the Calgary Flames. I did it one more time today against the Carolina Hurricanes. I didn't even know no responses on this one. Still, even though I put out the call for it, after the very intermission afterwards comes that in the very period after that intermission comes that rush. Like, I don't know what it is, Tom. It's a funny observation, but every time I do it.
So what you're telling me is you're taking credit for Utah's third period. I see. Or the games they win. Actually, you just took credit for their wins, I believe, Robyn, is what you've done there. So, all right, I'm all for it. Let's keep that running.
Let's keep it going. Yeah, we'll do more GIF intermissions out there.
I like it. I'm flexing my time right now between Twitter and Blue Sky as I prepare to basically leave Twitter. The hockey folk are leaving to go to Blue Sky, which is fine because I feel like a lot of the changes Twitter, peak Twitter for me was peak TweetDeck. Because for those of you who use TweetDeck, that was the way I used Twitter. I was a power user on Twitter, and I always used Twitter as a news aggregator. Really nothing else. I honestly don't care what kind of donut you had with your coffee. I just don't. And I apologize to those of you who are so enthusiastic about your latest apple fritter. I love apple fritters. I don't need to see yours. So I was using it to follow all the hockey folks, and I had my column set up, and I had everything ready to go. And then in recent years, that's all been kind of destroyed. They took TweetDeck away from us, and
Unless you're
so
subscribed to premium.
you're well, right, but that's the point, right? It's all about trying to make money back now, um, and I get it. When Elon Musk bought it, he lost a lot of money buying it, but that's not my fault. So, they kind of wrecked it, I think, in a lot of ways by trying to pursue the almighty buck. And so I'm hoping Blue Sky kind of rolls it back to what I'll call peak Twitter, probably 10 years ago, when folks were on there, and it would literally, and again, for me, just collecting news about hockey and being able to have it searchable and find it, I really hope it grows. But I will tell you what, there are a lot of hockey folks I've seen over there, so it's promising. But that's what I want. I want to be able to just find the news.
I mean, I think that's kind of what a lot of us are trying to focus on, right? Trying to go back to the those that have used Twitter in the past in that professional capacity, right? Used it in the way where, like you mentioned, they aggregate the news. He used TweetDeck, get all those lists put together, and use that to kind of retweet things that are important. I had a specific TweetDeck set up for, at the time when it was like all Roadrunner stuff, like all Roadrunners media, Roadrunners fans, and I would kind of put things together.
You probably had a guy named RR Voice Tom on there.
I did, yeah. But I do miss those days. Those were great. Anyways, though.
Back to hockey. Yes. So we had great goaltending tonight. We had an offensive outburst tonight. We had tremendous penalty killing tonight. And Robyn, it's almost, I don't know how I'm going to say this, but I am, and I actually mean it. It's almost easy to overlook the fact that they killed more than half of a single period off shorthanded. But that's a big moment for a penalty kill that, quite frankly, has not always looked its best this year. I think that was a huge moment for the Utah Hockey Club.
100%. I think, especially given the amount of critique we've been giving to the defense as a whole, right? The defense as a whole, let alone the penalty kill. And even though there were still a lot of flaws in the defense in those, which kind of led to Karel Vejmelka having to stretch out a lot and make some saves he probably shouldn't have had to. But I mean, hey, we're still able to do it anyways and get the full on kill.
And the only goal that beat Veg tonight was an absolute rocket. Like that Natchez one time, that was sick. Like that's a goal scorer's goal, and you could try all you want to try to take that away, but that guy in that spot, he's going to beat you. That's so I think it was a tremendous performance out of a guy too, Robyn, who I think needed to give a tremendous performance. I think the way his starts have gone lately, and again, as I mentioned before, out of the 4 times they've been shut out this year, it's been Veg in net for 3 of those. So that kind of stinks. Just bad luck. Hadn't gotten the run support. Got the run support tonight. And got some D support tonight. Got some penalty killing tonight. There's a lot to like. But again, to me, everything was in the third period that I liked. Except that penalty call. Can we talk about that yet, or do you want to wait on that?
You know what? We will get to that, but how about we just do that right after this? And today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best way to get an action on sports in over 30 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, Texas, even Utah. You can sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that lead you to big payouts like Taco Tuesday, where each Tuesday Prize Picks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value to your lineups. I've been using Prize Picks for the last month or so, and it's been really fun. I got several lineup wins in NHL, in NBA, MLB previously when it right before the World Series, and practically really anything, even some college football action I got in on, and it's been really fun. I've been really enjoying it. I want you guys to check it out yourself though. Download the app, use the code Locked On NHL, and get $50 instantly after you place your first $5 lineup. Once again, code Locked On NHL for $50 instantly after you place your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game.
All right, Robyn. I'm trying to remember, and I need your help on this one.
Yes.
Who was it that gave Carcone the tap?
Oh, God.
He throws a hit, and he's skating out of the zone. Now, Carcone threw a good, hard, but legal body check, and then he gets the tap from someone on Carolina. For those of you who don't know what the tap is, it's either a whack with a stick or some sort of punch or elbow that indicates we are going to fight now. This is part of hockey. After you throw a big hit, and I actually don't like this. After you throw a hit in hockey, it's almost accepted you have to fight for some reason, which I think is stupid. Why do we even have hitting in the game then? But so outside of that, Carcone throws a clean hit, and then he gets the tap from whoever the Hurricanes player was, turns around and immediately accepts. Well, then this Hurricanes player has the audacity to look surprised. After giving Carcone the tap, felt clearly from the reaction, felt as if they had been jumped by Carcone. And then Carcone gets 2 for instigating the fight, which he didn't, 5 for fighting, which I could see if you give it to both guys, and a 10-minute or a game misconduct, actually, not even a 10-minute misconduct. So he was gone for the game, and hence a 7-minute power play for the Carolina Hurricanes. That call was atrocious. It was absolutely awful. I cannot talk about how terrible that was.
Yeah, you're right. And it was Jack Drury, by the way.
Thank you. Drury clearly gave him the tap, and then had the audacity to look surprised that Carcone quickly accepted. And you know why it happens so fast? Because in today's NHL, guys know when they throw a hit, someone's coming for them. And that's what happened. And then he turtled. That's not Carcone's fault.
No, it's not. Plus, you can even see the gloves were off anyways on both sides.
Just because one guy gets speed bagged doesn't mean they both weren't involved in a fight. And the instigator, no, that's crap. Carcone did not instigate that fight. He got the tap after throwing a hit. You know the situation. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's one. And that, to me, I think it's crazy. It's one of those quote unwritten rules, right? Where you're like, yeah, it's there, but I feel like Drury kind of went back on that rule, and it leaves a sour taste in a lot of our mouths because we look. As much as a lot of people are becoming more against fighting these days, there is a place for it, and there is the unwritten rules of exactly what the process of getting into that. If you don't follow that, or if you try to back out, it just makes things look even worse.
It's a garbage move. It's garbage. There's no nice way to put it. It was crap all the way around. And I don't appreciate anything that took place in that whole little sequence. And then it sets off this crazy barrage of penalties against Utah Hockey Club. And here's the other thing, Robyn. I don't even know if you know this, but so tonight, 7 penalties for 25 minutes in penalties for the Utah Hockey Club. And 1 for 6 is the power play total for the Carolina Hurricanes. Could you, off the top of your head, without looking at the sheet, no cheating, tell me how many power plays Utah had?
No, I could not.
1. They had 1.
Jesus.
Versus 6. Now, look, I believe the clicker exists. Am I a proponent of the clicker? No, but the clicker is the theory of penalties generally even themselves out, or at least they're within 1 each going either way, because you're not really ever going to have a team that commits no fouls. You're not ever going to have a team that commits all the fouls. Both teams do it. It's like in football. There's holding on every play. It's just how often does it get called? So you know that the fouls are there, whether or not they're being called. The penalties, if they're whistled. But I have a hard time accepting that in a game, especially in the third period, where, I mean, Utah came out. Look, Utah was passive through the first 40 minutes for the most part. I get it, but that's not where the majority of the penalties happen. Cole went to the box twice for holding, and actually back to back. I mean, he basically got out of the box, did another holding, and went back in. I don't know if he was tired or what.
Yeah.
But so Cole's in there twice for holding, but everything else is in the third period. And that's why it was just so frustrating to see that entire thing carry itself out through the third period. I just don't buy it. I don't buy that there was one minor against Carolina either. Tonight's game is going to leave a bad taste in my mouth. And honestly, like, I can even look past the fact that, Drury didn't answer the bell, because some guys don't, but I just can't get over the way that was called.
Yeah. And I think the other thing too, that kind of,
you got to be fired up, Robyn. What are you doing?
that kind of was even more frustrating in some ways too, though. Like in more of a way for on Utah side thing, is Utah was doing a great job. We talked about it, right? And that 7-minute penalty kill, which is extremely rare. You don't see that very often at all.
I have never seen that.
Right.
In my whole career calling games, I've never seen a 7-minute power play.
So, and they were doing an amazing job doing that. I think the thing that frustrated me the most is that penalty is almost over, and then you have Lamoureux's hooking penalty.
Which shouldn't even been on him. It should have been on Cooley. You go back and watch that again. Lamoureux had the stick low. Cooley is the one who had his stick up in the mitt of the Carolina player and really disrupted the scoring chance. Should have been Cooley's minor. But so again, there's another slip.
Yeah, it's another slip too. And to me, I'm just like, okay, now it kind of resets. In the end, it didn't seem like it made all that much of a difference. Utah still came out with the win. They killed it off completely, which is great. But you're right, though. It is frustrating to see that, it kept going that way, but barely a single one against Carolina. I have a hard time believing it too. Until you brought that up, I was thinking, it took me a while to think about it. I'm like, you're right. Wow.
Yeah, one. But so now here are my takeaways. I'm gonna preempt your final question. Here are my takeaways from the game tonight. Number one, the penalty killing should take great confidence from this, and confidence in your goaltender. Mm-hmm. I think Karel Vejmelka was a big story tonight. Deserved first star honors. Attaboy Veg. You needed that game. You got a good one. Needed the win. I mean, you could just tell the relief, even in the post-game interview there on the bench. Just a lot of relief and excitement. And good. That's huge. But I'm also taking away the fact that this team, I hope they don't think they can do this and get away with it all the time. I really want to see. Now, here's the other thing. They proved they can do it. They proved that they can kill penalties. They've proved that they can knit themselves together as a team. They proved that they can score in bunches. And it's nice to see some of those guys get back on the sheet. And the other thing, too, I do want to mention, Kochetkov comes out. When you switch goaltenders like that, number one, it kind of can serve as a timeout. Of course, for all the good it did them, they went right back and stuck the puck in the back of the net again. But I think Kochetkov got banged up in the second Utah goal, where he kind of got knocked into, the net came off, he went into the post. I think he got a little dinged up in that, so that might have been one of the reasons why they make the goalie switch. We may find out from Carolina in the next day or two. But on top of that, Robyn, now the important thing for me is I want to see Utah grow from this. They should carry confidence into Friday's game for the way they ended that game. We probably won't see morning skate on Friday again. Today was an optional morning skate just to try to change it up a little bit, and it looks like it worked. Mm-hmm. But 60 minutes of effort, I'm still circling. I'm highlighting, I'm underlining. I haven't seen it yet.
No, you're right. And I feel like that's going to be the big question through the rest of the season. is this team going to be able to put out a full 60-minute effort? I've yet to see it in the last few years with this squad.
And I'm just going to almost look around the league real fast here. There are teams looking to make some changes. Nashville is looking for help, especially up the middle, although they're getting better, but they're still looking. They're looking for a center. I know that Philly is open. Montreal has been looking. They've been talking about it. The Buffalo Sabres are looking to do something big because they kind of feel like they're at a bleeper get off the pot moment here because they're in the thick of a mid-pack out of the playoffs race. There's a lot of teams, Robyn, that are looking, but things are not going to come necessarily cheap. Now, I don't know if Utah Hockey Club buys themselves some time from a shakeup by winning this game. And now, well, they do, because we want to see Friday what they do. And then we want to see the game after that, what they do and how they respond. So probably through American Thanksgiving now, you bought yourself some time. But I have to imagine if the inconsistency continues, this is basically, Robyn, you've been covering this team for years. This is the same lineup that they've been bringing with some rookie additions. And yeah, the D is a little different, but what has really changed to make you think they're better and now a playoff team? I don't see it yet.
I don't see it yet either. And I think that's the concern, because this team has only, gotten that much extra year of experience with each other. You'd expect, and again, they're now also, I think, their fourth year under Andre Tourigny. So they'd expect at this point that you'd know that they'd be making the proper steps to move forward to become close to a playoff caliber team, make those steps forward. And they do, like, they are getting better talent-wise, but they're still making the same basic mistakes.
Yeah, it's frustrating. All right, two nuggets I want to throw in that I just had on my notes here that I want to get to before the end of the show is, number one, Kesselring is really starting to show jump in different spots now, and I think is starting to create more and more, and I've noticed that out there. Not to say there's not still some work to be done on the defensive side of his game, but noticing the offensive creation is coming along nicely, so kudos. The other thing I wanted to point out with Utah Hockey Club is that I think at the end of the second period, I was looking for physical pushback. I was looking for some anger. I was looking for a little fire, and it just wasn't there. Now, the third period turned out to be a different story, but they got fired up once they started scoring. But when Carolina, which is not a push you around team generally, they just kind of grind you to death with a heavy forecheck. But there were times where I could see a little bit of frustration creep in, but I just didn't see the physical pushback. And again, this is supposed to be a size and strength team. It's not there. So I would love to see that come from somewhere, anywhere in the next week or two.
And we've been talking about that for the last couple of weeks. But like ever since the season started, I mean, even though they had a good start to the season, we've been questioning where the physicality is, where that level of aggressiveness is. And
Spicy Tuna is really the only guy I can think of who brings that on a night in, night out basis. And he's not in the lineup all the time.
No, I'd like to see more from him. I'd like to see more from Michael Carcone. I mean, we know he's capable of it. Michael Carcone is one of those players that's supposed to be that way.
And I can't fault him for the way things went tonight. No, that was just a bad call against him.
I'd like to see more from, I mentioned his name earlier this week, in Lawson Krause and the rest of your power forwards, again, because that's your job, to just force your body up and up into the offensive zone. So we'll have to see. Maybe maybe it's still some kind of adjustment to something. I don't know, but
well, the win's a win. And again, we take the good, we take the bad. And Robyn, you know what? You look forward to Friday. Should be another fun game out there. But to beat a team like Carolina at the end of the day, hey, that is a nice win.
It is a nice, especially a 4-1 win against Carolina. Getting a goal differential like that is a nice one. Let's see if they can keep the momentum going ahead of Friday's matchup against the Vegas Golden Knights. We're going to talk about that game in tomorrow's episode, kind of give you our thoughts and what to expect for that one when that one comes out. But in the meantime, that's it for this episode of the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast. If you like what you heard, don't forget to leave us a review, like, comment, subscribe if you have yet to already. We're available everywhere you get your shows, including on YouTube. Don't forget to interact with us on social media. We are on still currently on X, Instagram, and Threads at LO_NHL Utah. I'm personally at Robyn_Leaño. Tom Callahan is at Callahan on Air. We're also on Blue Sky. I am at Robyn Icetime. Tom, you are at
Tom Talks.
At Tom Talks. The show is at Locked On Utah Hockey. So you can follow us over there in case you also want to make the jump over there and join us, because it should be hopefully maybe a better time. You can ask us any question and DM us, mention us, just add us, whatever, and we'll try to answer those questions back right away or on a future episode of the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast. Thanks again, everyone, for listening to today's episode, and we'll see you guys next time.